because it's the most expensive House race in history, and it is now down to its final days in Georgia. Democrat Jon Ossoff is trying to ride what Dems perceive as a wave of anti-Trump sentiment, and he's trying to take a seat that has been held by Republicans all the way back to 1979. This is a seat that even Newt Gingrich held. But you've got Republican Karen Handel, who's seeing her party spend millions of dollars on her behalf. So how is she going to do here? I'll tell you, this race is very important. President Trump is even weighing in, taking sides on Twitter. And let me share with you what he's saying. Democrats want to stop tax cuts, good health care, and border security. Vote now for Karen H. Joining me is conservative commentator Gina and former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party, Scott Bolden. Let's take a step back here, Gina. Explain to the viewer why this has become such a hot race, why everyone is watching it, and why it's being seen as some kind of litmus test.
Well, if it's a litmus test, it's sure an expensive litmus test. You know, this would be almost amusing if it weren't so unsavory, Trish. But the Democrats apparently think that 1.5 points, right, can be purchased for the low price of $23 million. But here's the problem for the Democrats. They can't replicate this in 2018, Trish. They can't spend $23 million for every 1.5 points they want to buy. So I think the voters might send them a message.
You know, Scott, they think they've got an inch here, right? So they're spending all the money they can. I don't know if it's the candidate. He's not especially compelling, but their hope is that people are getting fed up with Donald Trump and they're getting fed up with Republicans. I think it's a pretty big hope, though. Walk us through what you anticipate happening and you know, if they don't win this one, because I don't know as they're gonna, despite the millions of dollars spent, what signal does that send back to the Democrats?
Well, my colleague, I agree with her. If the Democrats don't win, it's going to be a pretty expensive loss, quite frankly, because, I mean, money on both sides have come in from all over the country. If I were the Republicans, I'd be more concerned the fact that Ossoff has raised about $20 million on his own from small donations. That's always important. It doesn't mean you're going to win. But here's the deal. Every race is different. The fact that the Democrats are even in play here is incredible, but there are no emotional victories in regard to the midterms and the litmus test that the media and the money has made this. And so the strategy here is that Donald Trump's core supporters are going to vote Republican. The challenge for the Democrats is that electorate base, those moderate Republicans who are part of that 30% of approval or the 60% that disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing. Are they going to be that disappointed in Donald Trump, that embarrassed to go with a Democrat this time?
I don't think they will. I mean, look, I'll be completely objective here. I think that he still has a base that is out there for him and will show up. That said, when you look at some of the early voting, Gina, which typically tends to favor the left, the early voting is off the charts. They're seeing that a lot of people have come through. So that's something that could work in the left's camp. But, you know, I'd be awfully surprised here if she doesn't actually take it.
Yeah, and I think that the voters don't like this idea that outside money, and in this particular case, we're talking about 97% of the money can buy their vote. I think that voters have continually sent a message back to Washington, D.C. that they want to handle their own elections and their own, they want their own representation in Washington, D.C. They don't want to be bought. And so I think a lot of times when we see this disproportionate spending on the part of the Democrats to try to buy a seat, the voters push back.
You know why they're doing it, right?
I mean, it's just not true, though, Trish. The Republicans and their super PACs are literally dumping money into a really
so everybody's spending a lot of money.
Candidate.
But let's talk about why that is. I mean, Scott, they're spending money. The left is spending money there because they need this, right? They want this because they want to get people excited again. This is what they have lost, right? Excitement.
This will be the second largest embarrassment for the Republicans since Donald Trump was elected. You know, the first one was not being able to pass health care and passing it on 2 or 3 efforts. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so this will
feeling
be the
no,
second
no,
biggest
no,
embarrassment.
Scott, no.
Newt
No, the
Gingrich's
embarrassment-
district is going to
the
go
embarrassment
Democratic.
is-
Can you believe that? Unbelievable.
We'll see if that actually
If he was
happens.
dead, he'd be turning
Scott,
over in his grave right now.
We'll
The
see if it
embarrassment,
happens.
Scott, is that the Democrats know that they can't win this fair and square. They know that they have to go against their own mantra, which is, we're the party of the little man. They're not the party of the little man. And this race is case in point, and the voters are not going to be fooled.
Well,
All
we're,
right,
the,
we're
we're
gonna
the
leave it
party
there.
for everybody,
Gina
if you will.
And
the-
Scott,
Democrats
thank
have a
you.
chance.
Thank you very much. All right.